Okay, so now it's finally time to start coding our character. So to do that, what we need to do is one of two things, actually. If you were a student in last month's Time Traveler project, you can go ahead and skip to this point in the video. There should be a time code on screen. You can skip to that point in the video because this is the first time we're going to start reusing code from a previous project. If you weren't a part of last month's program, that's okay. I'm going to walk you through how to write this stuff yourself. But if you did, then you can skip ahead and I'll show you how to grab that code from last month. So for those of us who weren't a part of the Time Traveler project, what we need to do is go ahead and open up our resources folder, and we're gonna right click again and hit create and go to C# script. And this one we're gonna name player. So again, don't click anywhere, just type player. But if you do, you can rename the script and make sure we rename this class name here. So we're gonna open up our player script. And all we're going to start with is the variables we need, because there are a good number of variables, and this might take a little bit longer, so I'm going to break most of the script up into a couple of different steps here. So trying to go quickly, just because of the number of variables we have here. We need first a private character controller. That's going to handle moving our player. We need a private capsule collider. We'll call it my collider. We're going to need a public bool grounded player, and that's going to help us determine if our player is on the ground and can jump. We're going to need a private vector 3. We're going to call that player velocity. And again, as you write these variables, feel free to pause the video if I'm going a little fast. That's totally okay. Take your time, but make sure for each variable, you're matching my spelling and my capitalization exactly. So like for grounded player, lowercase g, capital P. For player velocity, lowercase p, capital V. Make sure you are doing it exactly the way I am so that you can make sure that you get credit when you hit check setup. Okay, so after player velocity, we have a public integer walk speed, and we're going to set that equal to 6. We have a public integer run speed, and we're going to set that equal to 12. Actually, we can ignore run speed. I don't think we use it. I think that's a holdover from the previous month. Yep. So we can actually get rid of that line. Never mind. So after public int walk speed, we can say public int sideways speed. We'll set that equal to 12. We can say public integer rotate speed, set that equal to 500. We'll say public int jump height, and we'll set that equal to 2. We'll say public integer gravity value, set that equal to -75. Then we'll say public transform boat respawn. And what this is going to do is this is going to give us a place where we can just press a button and get put on the boat. That's going to make it so we can't fall off and then get stuck not being able to get back to our boat. We're going to say private animator anim. That's going to hold our animator information. We're going to say private float speed. And then finally, bool controlling ship. We're going to set that equal to false. And this will be important a little bit later when we set up how we're going to control the ship from the player. But for now, we'll leave this as is. So if you did not take Time Traveler, then you are good to move on to the next step. Now, if you did take Time Traveler, this is where I'll show you how to get the script ported and just show you the couple things we need to change so you can skip this step as well as the next couple steps, because we're going to do everything for you guys in this video. So to start, what you need to do is open your Unity Hub and find your Time Traveler project. I have mine open already. So once you have your Time Traveler project, opened up, you can go to your resources folder, and what we want is our player script. So what we're going to say is we're going to click on it, we're going to right click it, and we're going to look down till it says export package. And right off the bat, it's going to have all this stuff selected. We don't want to export all this stuff. What this is this is any script that we're referencing from within our player script. Excuse me. We don't need to worry about any of that. What we can actually just do is click this include dependencies thing, uncheck that, and it should just leave you with this player.cs. We want to make sure that this is checked off, this player.cs script, and then we're going to hit export. And we can pick a place for that to be exported. You can select your desktop, or you can select any folder. What I like to do is I have all of my projects saved in documents. So I'm going to go to documents and I'm going to find my project. Here it is, TA Pirates. And then in the assets folder, I'm going to open that, and then that's where I'm going to save it. And we'll call it player package. Now again, you can save this anywhere you want. You can save it to your desktop. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you only have the player script in the package when you export it. So we're going to hit save. And now I'll see in my assets folder that I have this player package. So what I'm going to do is close my time traveler project. And then I'm going to open player package.unity package. And I'm going to import. I'm getting this error because I already have a player script. So I'm actually going to delete my player script that I just made for the new students earlier in the video. And now I'm going to import player.cs, and we're going to see it pop up here. So now we need to open that up because we need to change a couple things before we can just skip ahead skip past the next couple steps, I should say. So first thing we need to do is get rid of the sword variable, this bool double jump variable, and this float stamina, because we're not going to be doing any of that in this game. We then need to add a couple variables. So you can do this anywhere. I would recommend matching the way I do it, but you can do it kind of anyway. We're going to add a private capsule collider, my collider. And then down here towards the bottom, we're going to add a public transform boat respawn. That's going to give us an option to teleport back to our boat when we want to. And then we're also going to add a bool controlling ship. We're going to set that equal to false. And that'll be important later once we start adding the interactions and making it so that we can actually change our control the boat and do all that from within the game. Now what we need to do is drop down into our start function. We're going to delete these bottom three lines, so we should just have controller and anim getting their get components. So underneath anim, we're going to say my collider is equal to get component capsule collider, and then open and close parentheses, and there's semicolon, of course. We're also going to say cursor dot lock state is equal to cursor lock mode dot locked. And you may remember from last month, we always had that one little error that was nagging us that said we were using an outdated line of code. That's actually the cursor code that we just replaced. So instead of doing it the way we did it in Time Traveler, we're going to do it this way. And then the last thing we want to add to start is setting our speed to walk speed. And that's just to make sure that our speed is set to the right value when we start the game. We can also actually go up here and delete run speed because we are not going to be sprinting in this game. So now we can go ahead and scroll down into update. We've got some minor changes to make here. So the first thing we can do is actually just delete this whole if-else statement. So everywhere that we're doing the set bool to run and messing with stamina and all that stuff, just delete all of that. We are not going to need it anymore. We can also go down into our jump code down here, and we can actually just get rid of the double jump stuff. So that's going to be the double jump equals true and the else if here, because we still want this if we're grounded and we want to jump, we want to do that still. We also want to get rid of our start coroutine for the sword because we aren't going to be doing the toggle sword stuff from Time Traveler either. So now we're down to kind of the bare bones of what we want, which is perfect. So all we need to do now is inside of our update function here, we're going to say if controlling ship, but with that exclamation point, because if controlling ship is false, and then all we have to do is highlight all of this code here, all the way down to the end of our move, and we're going to hit Control or Command, hold that, and then hit X. And that's going to do what's called a cut. So that's going to remove all the code, but you can actually just hit Control V to paste it back in. So we cut it, and now we want to click in between our open and close brackets here and hit Control V. And that's going to make it so we now have all of our movement code updated from Time Traveler. So now we have a player that's able to walk and is ready to go. And that will effectively allow you guys who did this to skip ahead a whole 3 steps. So you'll be able to move straight into I believe, the inventory and get that stuff started. Actually, before you get that stuff started, I forgot one thing. We actually need to go back into our ship script. And what we need to do, because you guys have this all set up, the other group will do this in a later step that you're going to get to skip. All you'll need to do is go into your update method on your ship script and add a little bit of space before process inputs. And you're going to say if piloted, and then add your open and close brackets. And you're going to cut and paste that process inputs into there. So while this is the case, before we do our interaction stuff, you won't actually be able to pilot the boat, but this will prevent you from piloting both the boat and the player at the same time until we set up the interaction stuff.